Rule 42. All persons more than a mile high must leave the court immediately.
1, 2, 3, 42.
Today's rule is rule number 25. There is always light.
Hey, we're back, and we had another Audrey party, so we should talk about that. This was another big one.
We did. Well, with all the chaos with moving and with coming to another state and all of that going on, I didn't celebrate Aiden's first birthday, which is supposed to be like this big deal, right? You know, you do the first, you do their like 16th, you know, you have these milestone birthdays. Well, I didn't do shit. I had enough going on. And so this year I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to do a second birthday party, and I'm going to do it the theme that I wanted to do for his first birthday, which was Boss Baby. And I walked into this space, was like, holy shit, you could not have gotten more perfect than what you created.
It was awesome.
The kids were entertained the entire time between the soft area with the bounce house and the bouncing little
Ball thing. Oh, that was slide into the ball pit.
The ball pit.
Like kinetic sand, I think.
No, sensory station with that was pretty cool. The kids had so much fun doing with that. The sand and there was like popcorn kernels.
Yeah. So you had the people that were taking care of the stations, but then you also had 4 sitters.
That was perfectly done.
Were like the parents were able to have a good time. There was a photo booth with his own little backdrop up. Like, it was so good.
Yeah, we had so much fun.
Much fun.
The funniest thing, though, to me was that my kids loved him, especially my son. He's 9. He was like, usually he's like, can we leave this party? He just kept doing the slide and the ball pit in front. But Aiden, your little 2-year-old, was just running around the party like he owned it, just running everywhere.
He was having so much fun. He was like dancing,
running on the dance floor. Yeah, just running everywhere. Like this little guy was just like running the show. It was really fun.
Yeah.
Biggest 2-year-old party I've ever been to, for sure. Not that I go to a lot of those anymore, but it was huge. You know, it was fun.
Again, that's what happens when you're trying to overcompensate for missing one.
Well, you had like 5 parties thrown in one there. You know, it was awesome. It was a great time. Jen's family was there. Mine was there. Of course, yours was there.
Another one.
And it was nice to like hang out with everyone and see everyone. That's what, like, it's nice to just be together and like just have a good time.
It's funny that like my circle is so consistent that you guys all know each other now. Like like it's just, I'm looking at everybody and I'm like, yes, they all know you are all family now.
That was pretty cool because at one point Audrey comes over and she's like, Tell me, you have to meet my friend Debbie. And Debbie's like, I had to meet you because I listen to the show every week and I love it. I'm like, oh wow, it's really great to meet. She's like, I know you. I'm like, oh yeah.
No, Deb is awesome.
And I'm like, cool. I'm sorry you got to hear this voice every week, but yeah, it was great to hear that, and it was really cool. And but we met a lot of it was just really a good time. It was fun. He was there, Daquan Smith.
Who we totally missed his birthday. So happy birthday, Day! Absolutely,
there you go.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, it was a great time, and the most important thing, I think, there were a lot of little kids there, but you said you had babysitters, so you could just kind of sit and talk to adults, which was really cool. While the kids had a good time too.
Yep. People could just sit down and on top of the tables where you would eat. And then there was like a quiet area for anyone that just got kind of like overwhelmed by the music and stuff.
Yeah, the quiet area was good. I was hanging out with Deb in the bathroom for a little while. I got in my feels a little bit.
The bathroom became a blaze.
Yeah,
that's
I love it.
Lost Mia.
Yeah, I saw her in there while I was like, hey.
Yeah,
they were doing TikToks in the bathroom. There was a lot going on.
Yeah, everyone had a blast. It was a really good party, and once again, Audrey hits another home run with a big event. It was awesome.
And then we couldn't just leave it at that over the weekend. I mean, come on, it's Labor Day weekend, so what do we do?
It's true.
Pool party.
I know, the pool party was nice too. That was very mellow, nice, just hang out.
Well, that's true. So we leave the party, and Aubrey's daughters, Mia and Audrey's daughter, Aubrey and Mia. God, can we just call? I don't want to call her Sarah because I know that's her real name. She doesn't like it, but Aubrey and Mia came to our house and spent the night at our house. And then we went up to the pool party in Connecticut, which again was another just cool, chill time. And we
were just hanging out, having fun.
Yeah, so thanks for a great weekend. That was a lot of fun, and it was good.
Thank God.
But today we're going to get into a discussion with someone who's got an incredible story. She left Pakistan and she was oppressed and she had a terrible upbringing, some assault involved. She came to the U.S. from Marine. Today we're going to have Rimsha Warda on here, her fascinating story.
I can't wait. She's a fellow veteran. So I just feel like it's so important to get these stories out there so that everybody knows that they're not alone. And so I'm really excited to hear what she has to say and learn more about what it is that she does.
Should be good.
Yes, I can't wait to hear it.
I don't know what ordering it, but okay.
I don't know. Now I feel like I'm in the Brady Bunch.
Here's the story.
No, you're in did you see Superman? We're in the Phantom Zone. You remember old Superman? Oh, you guys are too young. The 80s Superman? No? All right.
I watch 80s stuff.
Christopher Reeve Superman?
Wait, is that boom, pow, bang?
No, that's
Batman.
before. That's Batman. And they would do
Come on, that's Batman. But anyway, it was a great Boss Baby weekend. Today we have a girl boss on. This should be really cool. So we have Rimsha Ward coming up.
Oh, Rimsha.
Rule 42.
1, 2, 3, 42.
Hi, so I'm Audrey. It's so nice to meet you. I was reading about your story, reading up on your podcast, and I really can't wait to hear what you have to say about like your experiences. I mean, we all have like our life experiences that bring us to the points that we are in our life now, but yours is on a level that no one should ever have to experience, and I'm so happy to see you here.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And my name is Jen. I'm not sure if I introduced myself.
And then definitely we will want to hear all about your podcast.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So if we can start from the beginning and start from your upbringing, because I feel like that's a big part of what led you to where you are now.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for welcoming me in this space. It's I really, really believe in storytelling and sharing our stories from a perspective of from different rites of passages, right? Like I can look at my life as a 29-year-old woman right now. It's vastly different than when I looked at it when I was 20 years old. I had a total different perspective, the same story. And I'm at that place in my life where the story is no longer of trauma, but it's of empowerment. It's a story of the medicine that was brewing without me even knowing. So we all are born into this. I think that it gets to be honored that it is a miracle that we get to be human beings, that we get to literally be manifested and be in this meat suit that is dense and has energy that can procreate and really interact with the world. You know, for so long I felt like I was cursed, or this life was, my God, why did my parents, why do we create children? And for so long I didn't want children myself, because it's like, why would you bring, you know, innocence into this world that felt and looked so cruel? And for me, the cruelty wasn't just a felt sense experience. It was very visible to my naked eye. You know, I would, inside my own home that I was growing up in Karachi, Pakistan, my home was very violent. My father just, you know, I think he was just a young man who didn't really know how to cope with his own emotions. So he took it out particularly on me, and then also on my mother. And it was really, really like terrifying to witness. But it's interesting, like if that's all you know, and that's all I had known, I took that as, oh, this is love. This is what love can look like, you know? And this is like, I'm actually reading the book, Getting the Love You Want, for my own work that I'm doing to really understand the mind aspect of just relationships. Like, what is life if not these relationships that we build with each other? And one of the things that the author talks about, and what I've learned in my own education, is that our minds take anything as truth in our early years. And then what we do is, whether it's good for us or not, we just continue to perpetuate it. So in my eyes, as a 3-4-year-old, I was seeing a violent father. It's like, yep, this is love. This is what protection looks like. This must be right. You know, like really creating story around what masculine should be on this planet. And that I actually have to succumb to this. I have to accept this because there's no other way. And so I lived most of my life being around men who were violent, who were hungry for war. and also quite literally in the military. And of course, as I've like transitioned out of my own old conditioning, what's really powerful is that the world around me is changing. It's like I'm still in Virginia, but the men around me are softer, gentler, loving, and kind. My own partner is like, how are you real? He just like blows my mind with his strength. Like I'm seeing a new way of experiencing masculine strength and protection and leadership. And I'm also experiencing feminine that is submissive and yet is standing up in leadership, just seeing.
It's unfortunate because a lot of men are still seeing this new generation that's coming out that has that level of empowerment that comes from a place that too many men still think of as weak. If that image and that kind of poison could just be seeped out of them, they would realize how much of a strength it adds and the value it adds to any relationship in their life, whether it be with their partner or their family, their kids, their parents. It's not a weakness the way that so many men construe it. But continue, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, thank you for adding that. I would say like patriarchy has had such an impact on both women and the masculine, but the patriarchy is masking underneath like, oh, the masculine has more power and opportunities on this planet. And while to some extent that's true, right? There's to some extent, I mean, women 50 years old couldn't even get a credit card in this part of the world, right? You needed a man. 50 years old, 50 years ago was like not that long ago.
Yeah,
not that long ago. Like, we get to acknowledge the fact that women have so many wealth.
We're leaps and bounds from where we were when even we were children.
Yeah.
Yes, we've all been witnessing that. I mean, I think about like women around me who have such a hard time keeping money or making money because money is something so still new to them, like the energy of money, because we had to rely on the masculine. So yes, there's an illusion of the men have the power, but underneath that power, what has that done to them? Tom can speak on that, I'm sure.
Tom was like, what?
Like, what? Why is my name being brought up?
I muted myself. I muted myself, so I didn't, I let the ladies speak. I didn't want to be jumping in with the man voice, but I think it's important though too. And yeah, I think things have definitely changed, but I think that masculinity is important, and it's valuable, and it's needed. Our job is to protect. Women's job is to nurture. That's just in us. That's innate in our beings.
Unfortunately, from like I don't know, from a very like machismo kind of upbringing of the man is the ruler of the household and men do not cry and men do not show emotion. This new generation of man is coming out and they're realizing that that's not the healthiest
Not at all.
Response to have, and they're evolving the same way that women are, and it is insane that in a 50-year time span, how much these relationships have evolved in terms of like just within the feminine community, within the masculine community, within like all of it, and it's continuing to evolve. And to see like so many men coming out and being able to show their emotions without feeling like they're somehow belittling themselves, or
it's still hard though. It's still difficult.
It is very, and that's the thing, that because it's not normalized, but it is becoming something that we're seeing more frequently because, like she said, her partner, she sees like these qualities that aren't the typical like masculine energy. My partner's the same way. It's not that typical masculine energy, and they construe that as some sort of a weakness, and it's not. For me, it's like such a strength, because why are my female relationships so strong? Because I feel like they get me on a level that.
But like again, I think deep down, women have that nurturing. They have that mother instinct inside them, so they're going to be nurturing. But I think the most important thing, and Rimsha kind of mentioned this, is that it's a partnership now, and I think that's the big change. It didn't used to be. It used to be just male dominated. Deep down, moms always ruled the house, and we knew that. But like men were like that was the scary guy, and that was disciplinarian. But now I think you have to be on an equal level and be partners, or else the relationship is out of balance. And kids see that and they feel that, and it's there. So.
Well, I feel like all of us have that feminine and masculine in us. Like we all have those energies, like the men do too. And that's why I think just tapping into those more and tapping into that side of you that is more empathetic or is more like for men, and then for women to be a little more stronger, because you have a lot of those single moms that, you know, have to play the mother and the father role. Like that's how my mom was. So she was my mom and my dad. So she had to like be a little more sterner sometimes and a little more, I guess, the quote unquote, like a man.
Yeah, Jen, I was just actually about to bring that up, and that, you know, we have this internal pull within us. Like even though women, as womb keepers, as wisdom keepers, as literal creators on this planet, of course we have the nurturance piece, but we are the representation of the feminine energy. But the energy exists in all beings on earth. The feminine energy exists in men as well. And the masculine is the representation of the masculine energy that also exists in women. And that's what I feel like we've been, not I feel like, this is facts, that for thousands of years, we've been out of balance. And Tom, you touched on it, that now it's partnership. We're coming into this I can see the infinite sign of this yin and yang energy where we're, yes, tapping into what is possible for us when our internal inner masculine is healthy, when our inner feminine is healthy. A lot of women also, for survival, have become so masculine. Like most of the leaders in my life were so masculine, so toxically masculine. These women were powerful and strong and sexy, but they were fucking scary to be around because it like they had something to fucking prove. You know, that's something to prove. And I had deep compassion for them.
They never let their guard down.
Yes, they did not know how to soften, how to nurture themselves.
They're too busy protecting themselves.
Yeah. Yes, it's like being this out of balance. And honestly, that's also been part of my story because my father wanted a son and I was born. And I really lived I didn't know the impact of that happened in my own life, where especially in Pakistan, where as a woman, your voice is 50%, like literally half of a man. So if I'm going to court for a divorce, I can't actually fight for my divorce until I have other proofs to provide. But a man can literally stand in front of me and say, I divorce you, and it's finalized, it's there, right? His voice literally have power, not just energetically, but by law. So being in that, you know, growing up in that part of the world, 14 years of my life, where my entire brain was wired to believe that I have to be a man. And then I came to America and I'm like, yes, I want to be a white man. You're like, legit.
That's overrated, trust me.
And it wasn't like something I voiced to it, but I was like constantly being pulled towards.
No, but this is something that goes through so many people's minds. Like when you come from a different culture and you see this, like, it's almost like when they think that the roads are paved in gold. I grew up wanting to be a man because I thought that their lives were so much more, it had so much more to offer if you were a man.
They had so much to offer, and we wanted to be, we desired to be useful and worthy, more than just creation, right? And now we're like the opposite, where women are like, we don't even want to have babies, but like, girl, creating a life is very powerful. You know?
I have 6 of them, so yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm not a mother yet, but I have stepchildren, and they have humbled me to see, like, oh, I get to be a leader and a co-creator in this universe to really offer something to this planet as is going through these massive shifts. And at the same time, I do get to create lives, because what is more powerful than being a mother? And we actually, in the indigenous communities, and as an indigenous woman myself, we used to live in matriarchy societies, right? Like where women were literally like the wisdom keepers, where men were like counseling with women and saying like, okay, how do we proceed? They were in leadership positions. I mean, we saw leadership differently, you know, and like, yes, this is on a big scale. And actually, I read something really interesting, how when the Europeans came to the United States, well, the original United States, and they met they walked into this land and like started to consult just the man, and they were confused because they had never been consulted, because they usually go to the women. Women are the channelers, they're the healers, they're the medicine women. They're the ones like channeling the downloads, what they're receiving from the spirit. And that's kind of been also my journey to tap into that matriarchy within me. Like, where can I source my wisdom from? Not just here in my brain, because the brain is so limiting. It's just, the brain only knows of conditioning. It only knows of societal expectations. It only knows what I've learned through being in the womb and being connected by epigenetically through my parents. But it's limited. And the body, the rest of me that has ancestral gifts, that has spiritual gifts, like our womb specifically, right? Like we have literal black holes in our womb through which we can birth, we can co-create. I mean, I am also a practitioner of magic, and I'm learning to play with herbs and spells and water and earth and fire, and learning that these elements are alive. They're alive. So what happens in the womb? What is happening with this womb? I mean, I feel like women are living through these miracles, but they don't even know how to source from this part of themselves, And I have, because of working with women who have sexual trauma, one of the things that I work with them is around take the energy that they've taken in by default, as especially those who have endured, sexual trauma as young kids, to take that energy that they have forcefully received and to transmute it, to alchemize it in that black hole in their womb, and to turn it into something useful for themselves, something useful that they can use to provide to the world. So, that has been one of the magic of studying with Indigenous people and getting to understand Indigenous communities around the world. They understood Earth is alive. They understood trees are always communicating. Birds communicate with us. Animals are alive. I mean, we have dogs and cats, and I know that everybody feels a connection. Like, man, my dog is like understands me. Like, it's not just, they're not unconscious being. The planet is very much alive, and I'm not asking the world to go save the Amazon jungle, although that would be amazing. Yeah, right? It would be amazing. But it's like, how can you tend to your soil? To your own soil, because we don't take care of our own bodies. We don't even take care of our own mind that essentially runs us.
We're busy in the continuous cycle of the daily routine of just surviving.
You get stuck in the hamster wheel of life.
Jen, I think I've told Tommy this before, and I try to communicate this to other people as well. A lot of people don't know how to just sit back and enjoy a moment.
Yeah.
They don't know the value of a sunrise or a sunset. They don't see the beauty in the world around them. And we are fortunate enough to be the type of people that do. Because if we can see that and we can feel that, and these people can't, there's so much that they're missing out on, and they don't even realize it. And it's hard to try to get people to understand something when they've never experienced it before. So I know that you bring people to a place where they can actually get to that space where they can experience the things around them in a way that doesn't poison it for its true beauty.
I used to go to the ocean often and just look at people, like how many of them are, and maybe this is a little dark, but contemplating jumping in the ocean and never coming back, Yeah. You just never know what people are enduring. They could, instead of witnessing the sunrise, their trauma, their pain is so deep that they literally can't make sense of it. So they can look at something, the most beautiful thing in the world, and still feel the depth of their pain, because nothing outside of them can fulfill what is happening inside. And, I've traveled all over the world to look for this Rimsha, and as incredible that journey has been, I will say the most important journey has been to go within, to find those sunsets internally, to find that hope internally, to find that joy internally, because there was really nothing outside of you that can fulfill you until you can actually fulfill yourself inside. And I really think about that when I'm around people who are really, really wealthy or look like they have it together, or I go to, the ocean, and it's like, how many of them are here in literal magic? Think like Hawaiian beach, and there are sea turtles' heads popping out of everywhere. And still they're contemplating death because they just don't know how to be here. They just don't know how to be in this vessel. And I'll speak a little bit on the veterans, right? I can't relate to men who have gone to war, but war is in my blood. I mean, I'm a second generation child of victims of war, and it changes you. It completely destroys your soul. Nothing can destroy your soul, but it destroys your humanity. And so even in the most beautiful places, how do you actually enjoy the piece of pancake that you're having in the morning with your partner, and actually like be present with love. And that's something I am learning with my current partner. It's like, how much presence can I bring here? Because fortunately for me, even though trauma and pain is where my mind wants to take me, because that's what it knows, but daily I'm fighting to actually choose joy, because joy is the hard thing to do. Being happy is the hard thing to do, and that's true for a lot of people. And I've learned to just have so much compassion for human beings, because I don't think any of us are saved from a heartache, from pain. And so I think the internal work is really where the world around you can actually change, that you can actually enjoy the beautiful things in your life.
And you do that for people.
I don't do it for people. They do it for themselves. But I just
help them, help guide them.
Find that path.
The way I see what I do is, and somebody like helped me actually figure out what I do. It's like I'm like in a tunnel, like a dark, dark tunnel, and I have a tiny lantern in my hand, and I'm holding the person's hand with me. So I'm like the usher through the darkness. Because I know darkness so intimately, that I'm actually just like, you can walk through the darkness, because through is the only way, right? Like you have to walk through it. And I'm just there to safely usher them through it, so that they don't feel so alone. Because when you're alone, I mean, it can be such a painful journey. And then you can get lost in the darkness too. You can just lost in the spiral that's going downward, and there's no way out of it. And there's always light. I mean, I know this is like super cliche, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but it truly is. And that's my mission. Like, I am here in this really, really dark tunnel with you, and I will walk with you for as long as you need. And then I just like go, and I'm right here, like almost like supporting you by the bum, and you're walking that path until you can find the light that is actually within. That light that you're looking at the end of the tunnel is actually, you are the tunnel, and you're also the light.
Do guide them through. You're a healer.
You are a healer. And that's a beautiful thing. And that touches so many people in so many different ways, just being able to help them through hard times. And I think it's very commendable of you to take something that has happened and turn it into a positive, to where you can help people find that light.
And that's a big part of it. So many people that go through like trauma and like are victims of maybe like child sexual abuse and what they've been like raised with, they don't know how to reach out. They don't know how to ask for help. So when people speak about it, or they think that they're alone. So when people start speaking about it and they put it out there, like, no, this, not only does this happen, and not only does it happen now, but like you can survive it.
Yes. And you can actually, thriving is also possible. Exactly. Yes.
Hard. We all have moments in our lives that kind of sometimes get brought up, and wounds that you think you've worked through, but sometimes, they creep up and it's hard to deal with. It's sad and it's scary, but I think just knowing that there's that light and there's people that can help you. And
you're an example of that, because you go from the abuse you suffered and the tough upbringing and war. You leave as a 14-year-old kid, you come to the U.S., you join the Marines, right? And now you heal yourself, and now you're helping heal other people. So how does that little kid, that teenage girl, because we have teenage daughters, the three of us.
Yeah.
How do you go from that to this? Because it's pretty fascinating, and that's kind of like a secret sauce there that, geez, share that with people.
Yeah, I would say that what I've seen time and time again is actually, I wasn't unique in this. Every single person through different periods of their lives are literally being given opportunities to heal. And when I say heal, what I really mean is they're just creating spaciousness in their life to feel more joy. But how would you have the spaciousness to feel more joy? You have to first create the space. And right now, if the spaciousness in your body is taken up from the pain and the wounds and the stress cycles that haven't been completed, then there is no spaciousness for that peace and that joy, because that's what those vibrations require. It's like place of movements, right? And for me, it was like, going into an English-speaking school and having a safe home was a big deal, like a really, really, really big deal. I'm actually working on a book right now. My first book, holy amazing, so difficult, such a difficult journey to write this book. But at the same time, it's made me realize, oh my gosh, no, those things were a big deal. The only difference was I couldn't celebrate. I didn't know how to celebrate. I would get through one thing and it's like, what's the next hard thing? You know, and then I would pick another one. And I was seeing this like perpetual cycle of when is life ever going to be enough for Rimsha? Like, where is the arrival point? And I think a lot of us are waiting for an arrival point, for some success, for some love, for some this. And like, the journey literally doesn't end. It's such a fucking illusion. And you get to actually expand more into love, more into wealth, more into joy. The infinite possibility of experiencing our life where we get to our deathbed. And that's a huge part of my mission, is that to lead people to their deathbed having the best orgasm, the most wealth, the most incredible experience of love in their relationship, to go to deathbed feeling fulfilled. Feeling fulfilled, and feeling of fulfillment actually doesn't come from all the degrees and the money and the things. It's an actual felt sense experience. It's a literal body experience, like, of arrival. And like every day gets to be that arrival. So the journey that you're talking about, for me, I mean, I can't speak for others, but what I mentioned earlier was that everybody gets that opportunity. And for me, was a very cathartic divorce. I was still chasing all the, one thing after another. And then the Marines came into I was a submarine engineer for a while. And, I really, really admired my intelligence and really admired the way I challenged myself, because engineering seemed really difficult. And I did the thing and it was like, oh, it's still not enough. What's next? Okay, work on submarines. Okay, what's next? And I got to that point. It's like, what the fuck else is going to be, enough? And then it was like, Maurice, that looks hard. Let's do that. And I became an officer. And that was a really, really, I don't recommend it. It was a really difficult journey. I mean, my body, I am actually 100% disabled veteran, because I've had hip injuries that like I laugh about it now, but I really pushed my body. I was really going more with my
I was in the Army.
Okay, yes, he mentioned it. Yeah, so
I taught fat camp. Which was called fat camp. It was just the people that could not pass the PT test, because I would max out all 3 portions of it. I then would be responsible for also training other people to pass it. Yeah, you look for that next challenge that everyone else tells you can't do, because your path is to choose it, to prove them wrong,
to prove to somebody, God knows who. And I really don't try to dive too deep into this stuff, because it's like, I just want to move forward into how can I bring more presence into my experience, like you mentioned, because that presence is a journey. I mean, what you mentioned about like being able to enjoy a sunrise, it was like, I have now seen the world in a very young age. It's like, at what point are you going to really take it all in and enjoy it? I still was struggling to like spend money on myself. Like, I was still living the way my mother was raising us, which was, we came to this country with, just clothes on our back, and like really, really had a really challenging first 5 years of our lives here. And I was still, it was like, why is it that these things that are no longer here still controlling me? So I was very aware of that. Like, this shit is not real. My father is amazing now. My father is amazing now. Why is this still killing me? Like,
they're all phases. It's all phases. It's all even 10 years from now, if we were to speak to you again, you would have a completely different outlook. Who I was 3 years ago is very different from who I am today. There are all these just phases in life. And I tell my kids all the time, because they're all in different phases themselves. This is a moment in life that you need to experience, because it will lead to the next one that will change who you are and the way that you view the things that you view now. And that is for everyone and everything. I don't care what part of life you're in, what stage. You will all get to a point where, you're going to change, but it doesn't mean that it like you're somehow bad or you're not, oh my God, you're not the same person you always were. No, because I've lived a different life in the past from when I've seen you to now, and my life story isn't like yours. So yes, I will be on a different portion of my journey in my time frame. Where you are is irrelevant to where I am, but all of these components are all phases. And now I understand when my older family members would look at me going through something that I'm like, why are you fighting me on this? And the woman that's raising me would just look at me and be like, I'm not fighting you on it. It's a phase. It'll go away.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't. Everyone else would be saying something or doing something that would try to like impact or the flow or the path that I was taking or the journey that I was on. And she would just hand me a book, Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul. And she would tell me, this is a part of your journey. So I love her for that. And I just, this is a new phase of your journey. And, you know, we all let our like past influences impact us. But the way that you're addressing it and the way that you're approaching it and the way that you are, because you are still very young to have gone through so much. And I have heard this a million times over. For you to be the age you are, to have gone through the things you've gone through and be where you are today is phenomenal. And I say the same to you, because a lot of people will fold. A lot of people will give up on themselves. And a lot of people just don't give a fuck about anybody else to want to make it different.
Well, I feel a lot of people stay victimized and they like to play the victim. That's the problem. People
Well, there's also one thing too, though, with victims of abuse. There's three things. You deserve to forgive yourself. You deserve peace, and you deserve happiness. And I think a lot of times it's hard to do those three things because you blame yourself always. You know, you don't think you deserve the good things because how you've been abused and conditioned and talked down to. And eventually, like Rimsha said, you find the happiness in the simple things. And it's so hard because we're always chasing it, but you can find it. You can find a sunset and be like, holy shit, I'm on this planet. This is incredible. You know, so I think those three things have to happen. And I'm not a victim of abuse, but I know a lot of people who have been, and it's not your fault. You need to forgive yourself. You need to say, I deserve peace. And you need to say, I deserve happiness. And I think when you can get to that, I don't know how you do that, but I guess Rimsha, you're working on that, and that's awesome. That's where, you know, healing can really begin.
But not just that, you're healing others. Like,
Yeah.
Like that is such a big deal to be that lantern.
And I feel like that helps heal you, like healing others and working through with other people, and like their issues sometimes will arise, things that you didn't realize that you were kind of feeling but didn't deal with. And I think that also helps heal you in a different way, because I know connecting with other people just through traumas that I've been through and stuff like that, and hearing their stories makes me look at mine a little differently, and then be able to understand myself in turn a little more, which I think.
Yeah, I appreciate that ad, Jen, because 1000% I do this as much for myself as to serve the collective. As a whole, we're all one, right? We all
we all come from the same energy.
And what I found is that the people that I attract in my work are actually people who represent different versions of me, or different versions of the people that I deeply care about, like my mother and my sisters, who in this lifetime I may never be able to have that relationship that I desire with them. But it's interesting how I see their mirror in these women and men. And I've been having a lot of men come into my space, and I really get to have so much gratitude, because I'm like, I see my father in you, and I get to be part of your journey. I've had so many men recently just come through, and it's like a testament of I am truly healing that relationship with my father. And now these women, I mean, they're mainly in their 40s and 50s, and I'm like, why do they trust me? And it's like, oh, because my mother is here, you know. So it serves me, and I'm not shy to bring that up. Like, this helps me because I'm seeing my mother in you, and what you've endured is like, the more I get to hold you in this, hold space for you to freely express the pain that you've endured, because, by the way, that's where the healing is, right? The expression, like, energies just need to be recycled that have been stored over decades. I am freeing my own mother through it. And then the work that we do in shamanism, we talk about this, and it's such a huge part of our mission, is that the work that we do here impacts 7 generations before and 7 generations after. You're literally changing your genetics, your DNA of your lineage. I see that. I literally have witnessed the moment I'd love to actually share this story, especially with my father, because him and I just never knew if there was ever a way through where I could look him in the eye and like feel that he has brought me into this world, like he is part of my creation. Because I just hated the man. No, I'm not hated, but like I just felt angry at him. Just felt so much rage. I just had so much rage coursing through me, and I really specifically walked a journey, and this is where Jaguar medicine came through, for 3 years, just healing my inner masculine, just learning to father my own self. And what that means, what does a father do? One of the biggest things a father does is lets you be brave, lets you be courageous, and holds you in your weight. It's like that strength, you know? So I learned to do that for myself. And I would go on shamanic journey. I would just take myself on a journey. I would just talk to him. I would meet his child self. I would meet his adult self. And I would just have a conversation with him. Why did you do what you did? And I would try to understand where he came from, because I didn't know how to phone call him and like understand human to human, because he didn't know how to communicate these things. You know, or so many of our generation, like they don't know how to communicate.
No.
So I found the wisdom in the spirit work, and I would just sit at my altar and I would close my eyes and I would go on a journey and meet him. And it's crazy. My father started to changing on the other side. He started to soften, like, and it's interesting. My sister emailed me a year or so ago. She's like, I don't know what you've done, that even though he's the same man to all of us, he does not know how to still be the same way towards you. He still does not. He has softened so much. He listens to my voice, and like I can hear this man just crying. Like he just immediate emotions. And it's not of like, oh, I've done something wrong with her. It's like, I just love her. You know, he feels my love, and and I can feel his love, and it's really, really, really powerful. This is why the work that we do internally, because the father that we have in this world and that's chosen in this lifetime also exists within us through our DNA. And we could use that way to communicate and work with their higher selves when their human selves do not know how to.
That's powerful.
And that's been my journey with my clients too, where I'm like, oh my gosh, I come from a really powerful lineage, and I've also been deeply impacted by colonization and war, and they've lost their power. You know, they've given their power away. They've forgotten themselves. And as I'm working with these people, I'm like, no, I know that this magic, this healing gets to propel outward to the rest of the world. That's the power of this work, that the work we're doing here and the work that I support in others is like, it's not just for us. It's like, this is for the holy good of all.
I don't think it's something that's forgotten. I think it's just something that's been hidden for so long that it just needs to be reawoken. The door just needs to be reopened. Because again,
100%.
There's the same way we've evolved and grown, the oppression occurred. So now it's all just a different energy cycle that we're going through. And now it's reopening up because now it's time. Yeah, what you're saying, I've heard from so many people now. Jen's sister, who just recently passed, she was working with a lot of shamans in Peru, and
all over the world. But yeah, Peru was there. But she was recently going to Europe and different countries and trying to help people on their journeys and on their spiritual awakenings, and trying to just kind of work through their traumas and stuff.
And I've spoken to so many people in the more recent years that I've known over the past maybe 12, and they never would have even indulged the idea of going on a spiritual journey or finding themselves, finding who they are in order to better the people around them or better engage with the people around them. Never would have even been something they would have considered or fathomed, or, ha, you're so funny. And now I'm getting the questions of, do you know how I start this journey? Or do you know how, because I feel like there is a shift in my energy and I get it now. And I need to find that piece of me that's not evolving with the rest. And it's just it. So I just think that this is now a reawakening in something that has long been hidden, because our energy and who we are in the world around us is so important, so detrimental to our future. And it pops up all the time because they say the things that you do, the sins of the father are become the children's problem. Exactly. The things that we do today, the future that we are creating for them based off of who we're giving into the world, how we're raising them, how are they right mentally? Are they right emotionally? Are they right in all of these areas, not just physically and what you look at, but like this is what we are creating and giving on to the next generation. So now are you going to be, or like I look at my children and all I want to know is I'm raising good humans that will love and respect each other. You do not have to be friends with everyone. You do not, nothing, but know that we all have our own paths and journeys and lives, and we're all taking them and addressing them in different points. And that is not for you to judge. That is for you to understand what energy you allow in your home and which ones you keep away, but be the type of energy that you want out and to feel in the world so that your kids are that. Yeah. And then their kids are that. And I keep telling them I'm never going to die because I have so many that they're bound to have me again. I'd love a child that looks, acts, everything just like me.
I'd love to add one really important piece that was really like ping, ping, ping coming through when you were speaking is that play. Like, I think when people are saying that how do I start the journey is often like, how can I fix this, as if they're inherently broken. And no matter how much wounds we've had, we're still inherently divine, like that nothing in our power can actually take that away from us. But focusing on play, because there is, again, even with healing, I was like, oh, there's an arrival point with this. I was wrong. There is no arrival point. This is continuous. It's a ultra marathon that just doesn't end. So what I have learned is that, and this is something that I've learned in tantric practices and as I study like ancient, scriptures, is that inviting in play, like how much can you play with life? If there is sadness, can you play with that sadness? Can you allow it to be there? Because when you see something as play or as even acting and expression, then you don't demonize it. You don't get scared when you need to be angry or you need to be sad or you need to feel confusion. There is not a arrival point to, I want to feel pleasure. Pleasure is always there for you. Joy is always there for you. But it's like, can you play with what is actually present here, including rage? Specifically for women, we don't know how to express our rage. And for men, they don't know how to express their sadness, deep sadness. So playing is like my golden tip advice for everybody. Is like, how much can you play and explore with what is happening in your body and seeing it as that. And that's something that I've been a healer for, I think, actively doing by getting paid about a year or two. And now I'm going through this shift in my work where instead of people coming in my space saying like, this is what I need to fix, I start with like, what are you desiring? Really focusing on what are you desiring and exploring those things that bring them pleasure. And then as you're meeting the pleasure, then you meet, oh, no, my body actually resists pleasure. Even though I want this so badly, there's all these fights. And then we can work through those things. But really seeing and experiencing life from that place of play and desire is specifically around emotions. Like, as silly as it is, and I think finally psychology and our basic education is shifting around the importance of not just the mind shift, but like the emotional body, the energetic body, where the release is absolutely necessary. We are God-given, given a system that works, So many of us have constipation problem because we literally don't know how to digest in our bodies. Mm-hmm. And that's why these chakras are blocked, the energies are blocked, and those energies are dictating your life for however long you're going to live on this planet. So really just inviting in play. And when you invite play, then having a rage ceremony by yourself in your basement with bashing a pillow or something, it's just like a fun play. You can laugh about it and allow that rage to be processed. You can be sad. I'm learning to hold my partner, providing him safety because he doesn't know how to feel safe in crying. Like, it legitimately is like a war zone for him. Like, I will, like, if he cries, he feels so terrified that I will use it against him. That he has now been considered weak, you know. It's a real thing. And for women, the same thing. God forbid if I raise my voice or show my rage, I will be demonized as some crazy bitch.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happens, though. Oh no, that one done lost her damn mind.
I think it's turning around with the younger generation though, because I think boys, and we all have boys. Well, the three of us have boys. They're all a little more sensitive, a little more in touch with their emotions. I noticed my son's 9. Him and his friends, they hug more than I would never have hugged another 9-year-old boy ever. And they see each other and they hug and it's fine. It's like, oh, this is great. Good to see you. And I'm like, wow, we would ostracize a kid for doing that 40 years ago. So that's
boys like cuddle up on the sofa and like we'll just sit there watching a movie and like one's laying into the other one and the other one's like stroking the other one's hair. Like, there is so much more love, but that again, it has a lot to do with the energy that we're allowing in our home.
Yeah,
we are about who I let my youngest, my 2-year-old. I tell people all the time he is a golden child because that other than the fact that I've had to travel a lot, he doesn't know sadness. Like, that man, he laughs so much and he smiles so much and he loves unconditionally without seeing like color or anything. He just loves because that's what he knows.
Yeah.
That is the energy that has been given to him in his life. And I don't want anybody touching that. So I'm very, very particular about what I bring in. So that could have a lot to do with it too, because we all have the three of us.
Yeah.
All our children in terms of like what we show them and the people we involve around them. It's very similar. And like the same, you draw people that are more like you or have your experiences or remind you of the people that you love in your life. It's the same thing for, we ended up gravitating towards the people that had the energy that we could handle in our lives. And it turned out that we're making like human beings.
Humans.
Yeah.
But I think it's also,
and have fun.
I feel like it's also not just, but you're making a comfortable environment for your kids. You're making them happy. You're making them like, you know, to be able to be better people, and giving them the households that we didn't have. Like, I didn't have a very cushy, nice household growing up where everything was loving and, you know, where I felt supported. And I felt like maybe changing that for my kids and really supporting them and giving them a safe space to feel love and feel comfortable in themselves is important.
But also like your play, when we go to like doing things with like play. And I know that like, so my relationship currently is relatively new, and I was in a very, very, very long-term relationship prior to that. So I have like, you know, introduced play for myself. So you started like balancing things between Tantra and like your spiritual energy and awakening, and where are your tips there?
As far as
helping
your blend of Tantra and shamanic visioning,
and
how do those practices kind of like complement each other, and how do...
Yeah, so my official training that I've done, it's integrated with Tantra, but in my perspective as an Indigenous woman, I don't think it's very authentically done, because Tantra is not something to serve others, actually. It's your journey, just like yoga. You actually can't. It's been whitewashed, for the lack of a better word, and been westernized, but the Tantra has little to nothing to do with sex.
Either.
Oh, I love yoga.
Yoga now. You can practice yoga, and yoga is powerful, right? But what I mean is that it's an eternal journey. It's something that I've been on a priestess journey, and I'm not finished with my training yet. But I wouldn't say that I could do. What it does is it only enforces who I am. And the more it enforces who I am and my abilities to really become centered in who I am, the stronger the space that I hold. That's, I would say, at least for now, same with shamanism. You know, the more I have understanding and actual experiences of, seeing the world around me as very much alive, the more I can actually be present with people and see their internal water energy, their fire energy, their earth energy, their animals inside of them. And Jaguar has been a big part of the women who are in my circle, including men now, who are like, hey, I know you don't work with men, can we? So I'm like changing my business around serving men as well, because they're really feeling called to the Jaguar medicine. And so I wouldn't say I use the wisdom of shamanism and Tantra in these spaces. It's just those trainings, those experiences have molded me to become more stronger in my ability to hold space. Because a lot of these things, and that's like a whole episode to go into, just like when a white man found Tantra, he was like, that's cool. That means I can have sex with anybody. He just like totally sexualized the thing, brought it to the Western world. It's another thing. That just is not real or true. But when the world spread,
I thought Caligula did that.
I'm sure there's a bunch of people who just like showed up in India and was like, yeah, that's cool. Like, this is what makes sense to me. And then the project the ones forward. And of course, ancient practices have been really magical. But for me, for now, it just has made me just a stronger space holder. So I can really look at a person. And for example, in Tantra, you devote yourself to a goddess. You devote yourself to a deity. And it is not an easy worship to do, because devotion requires like looking at the darkest parts of yourself and the darkest experiences in life and saying, I trust it, and still continue to go. So it's a very, very difficult training. It's a very difficult journey. I don't think it's for the faint of hearts. It makes sense why there's only few tantrics and tantrikas who are authentic in this world. However, what I found is like when I sit in front of a person, I truly, no matter the mind, how much judgment I may have and my own conditioning, all of that just completely melts away. Because I'm sitting in front of that person and saying, I see God in you. I literally I'm not joking, because I can see the perfection in the darkest things that you're sharing with me. I can see the gift in everything that you're seeing. So I think that it has really reinforced me to truly see the divinity in every single human being around me when they come into my space.
I love that.
Oh.
That's part of, so when Jen's sister was around, we would talk about like doing the journeys with the shaman and going and finding like a better like spirit, like the traumas that we've gone through, they're supposed to help. But then that became the reason that we wouldn't do it.
I was scared.
I'm terrified.
I was scared. My sister was always like, you need to come do the medicine with me. I am scared. I put up blocks in my mind of stuff that I don't want to remember. So I don't remember big chunks of my childhood. I don't remember big chunks of certain times in my life. I don't remember anything. And I know that's because there's something back there that I don't need to go there. So so I'm scared that it's going to be something that like is too overwhelming, too traumatizing, too.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, I just want to acknowledge you, Jen, in this. Like, you don't need to heal everything in your life.
Yeah.
If we try to heal every single thing in our life, like, then we're not really, in the playground playing. And I think it's totally okay that you don't want to look at those things. And if you ever desire to, yes, plant medicines are beautiful because what they do is they open up the primal brain so that you could feel, right? It's more about the felt sense experience in plant medicine journeys so that you can release by allowing the medicine will like literally force you to just feel the rage if you need to feel the rage. If you cry, and then the visions will just invite in those deeper emotions that really, really, really need to free you. Emotions are truly the medicine here. However, yes, I think your fear is valid that you could go out of tolerance. Because as amazing shamans are in their spirituality, how much of somatic training do they have? How much do they know how to, you just don't know. And I think it's totally okay to feel like, I don't know if I'll be safe here. I think it's totally valid. And you also don't need plant medicine to try to remember and work through things. You could do it gently over a decade, 2 decades. Like, I really tried to rush through my journey. And I've learned now that just take your time, man. There's really no rush. Because if you're like, I'm gonna go on a healing marathon and then I can enjoy everything in life, you're wrong. You're gonna have so many issues that are gonna come up during the way where you'll be challenged. So take your time with it. You also don't need to sit with plant medicine because they are very, very intense. So unless you like absolutely get to the edge of like, I am suffering so much that I need something to force me out of this, sure.
Yeah.
But you can also be just gentle with yourself.
I also had another question for you. So Jaguar medicine, you keep bringing that up. What is Jaguar medicine?
First of all, that man to the right of you, behind your background,
Yeah, 55 minutes.
I know.
Well,
I know the last person didn't bring him up.
It's killing me. It's hilarious. It's so real. It's like, why is this man smiling at me?
It's Harry Styles. Harry Styles is smiling at you.
Oh, it's Harry Styles. Okay. Huh. Oh my God. I'll talk a little bit about the Jaguar medicine. The Jaguar, so in the shamanic work, and actually whether you're walking the path or not, we all have spirit guides and we all have spirit animals and then spiritual totems. Totems will assist you throughout your life and they'll come and go. And then there's an animal that will assist you and hold you through assist you throughout your entire life. And for me, that was Jaguar. And it wasn't something like I went on a journey to find. It was during my divorce where, one night I was on a 24-hour duty and I came back I was living out of a van with my partner at the time. We were trying to save up money to buy a home, and while also navigating potentially getting a divorce because I had found it out that he had cheated on me with like 19 women. There was
out the door.
Yeah, it was gonna end for sure. It was just really, really, really messy situation, and I came back at 3 a.m. from duty, and I just said in prayer as I laid down, like, God, I need guidance. I need help. I don't know how to bear this pain anymore, because it felt like when the Jaguar is ready to come into your life, it's like a rattle. It shakes up everything. So I was being shaken in every area of my life, including sleep, my relationships with my parents, and my husband, my work. It was like I was shaken to my core, and I didn't know a way out. So I just made a prayer, slept that night, and I immediately was in a journey. I woke up in a lucid dream, which was very, very real. I was in a tower and I was seeing jaguars all around me, and I had never seen this animal before, especially in my dreams. And that night, like before the jaguars kind of vanished in front of me, there were words, like it felt like somebody was typing words in front of me saying, "Get the fuck out. No more. Stop. Just no more." And I really believed, like I took my vows to him and I took that to heart. Like, I'm going to die with these vows. I can't tell somebody, take a vow and say, I will love you through thick and thin. And then when the sickness comes through, that I don't, so I really took vows to my heart. And at that point, the messages were being typed in literally my eyes closed and I'm seeing words and saying, everything that was meant to be learned here is over. Your contract is over. Your spiritual contract with him is over. And after in 24 hours, things got so bad, so dramatic. And he started becoming violent and all these things where I was like, I think his higher self is leading him to do things like this, so I can really put my foot down. And I did. He left. A house fell into my lap. That next week, I bought a house and I flew out to Costa Rica for a month. And it was like life was shifting like this. So the Jaguar medicine, when it comes into your life, it is very powerful, and it works differently for everybody. And for me, it was about bravery. It was about courage. Like, are you going to be courageous enough to live a life of joy? And what does joy require in your life? It meant radical honesty, because I was lacking integrity. My parents didn't know what I was enduring. They didn't know that I was not following the religion that I was born and raised in. There were just all of these things that I was so scared to be abandoned by them. And all of that came true. They did abandon me. The Jaguar forced me to confront everything that I feared. It said, you're afraid of being in debt? Great. Here, be in debt. You're afraid of doing this, or like losing the love of your life, being alone by yourself. Here, experience this. You're afraid of being abandoned by your parents? Great, have this. And I really experienced all of this in literally weeks. Just everything falling apart, and actually it was all falling in place. Because everything that I feared was in front of me, I actually realized I was not afraid of any of it. I was not afraid of being in debt, and I was not afraid of my mother abandoning me in the hardest period of my life. And I was not afraid of not having a man that was by my side for many years. So it was, I really confronted that even when I was stripped of everything, I was actually quite okay. And more than okay, I guess I'm not afraid of any of it, started to open up gates for me. So the Jaguar medicine, when you confront the very thing, and this is maybe an invitation for you, Jen, that you don't have to work through all these things that you have forgotten, because I too had forgotten the first 14 years of my life. When I turned 25, that's when I started to remember. Oh, okay. But the core medicine was that for me, that it was that the totem, the animal, actually I have it on my wall right here, like a giant jaguar. It was there with me every step of the way, and I had felt this experience of being held, being supported. Like no matter what happens in your life, and I really believe that in order for us to have the highest pleasures in this lifetime, we have to be brave enough to go after the things that we desire. And that requires letting go of everything else that no longer serves us. And sometimes that means the most important people in Europe. So I walked that journey with the Jaguar for 3 years. And I was like, oh, this is for me. Not something the world needs to know about. And on the 3rd year mark in Mexico, I was literally seeing jaguars everywhere, like physically seeing them, like, okay, and I was like, wow, sure. I'm actually losing it. And then one night in the hostel, in the dream, the jaguar came again, and I was like, wow, I haven't seen you in a long time. And it came at me, and it ate me. And it ate my shoulder. I felt the bite. It ate my shoulder, and it looked me in the eye, and I knew what I had to do, and I ate it back. So I took a piece of a shoulder, and I kid you guys not, when I woke up, I immediately opened my eyes the moment I ate the meat. It was like butter. It melted in my mouth. The moment I woke up, my body was glowing so much that like the whole hostel room was. Thank God nobody was around. It was so bright that my eyes were hurting from the light that was coming through my body. And truly everything changed for me. I changed. I was no longer the same person. I mean, I couldn't stop smiling. I was no longer addicted to pain. I was no longer, and my business started to change. It was saying like, I know you feel safe in the work you're doing, but this is not what you're meant to offer. And the Jaguar really started to guide me through my creation. Like, you don't have a business, you don't make money, you are a healer, you are creating a transformation on this planet. So this is going to be something that only the people who are ready for it will feel the pull for. So at first I was like losing a lot of follow-off. People were like, what the fuck is the Jaguar medicine? And like, then there were messages for like, wait, I think I've been waiting for you. Then there were people reaching out to me, men and women both, saying like, I think I've been waiting for you. How can I work with you? So it was like, yes, I'm losing all these people, but they were
the new connections were coming.
The right connection that were actually resonate. So now actually my work has been to pass on the Jaguar codes and like to help people not only transform their life through the journey and through pleasure and desire, but to actually become the Jaguar woman, the Jaguar man themselves, so that they can take on the codes and pass it on to the kids, their families, their friends, and be the living totem of this really, really powerful spiritual totem. I mean, the Jaguar is one of the most powerful totem of all. Yeah, it's really, really powerful and ruthless as well.
Ooh, Rimsha, I feel like we've learned so much from you, and I feel like we could just keep on going over and over again, because there's just so many pieces and components of what you're saying that lead to something bigger. And I want people to definitely be able to reach out to you. Like you said, the right people resonate and they come to you. So for everyone that's listening right now that needs to get in contact with you or that wants to listen to your podcast as well, because we totally do that, how can they reach you?
So you can just look up my name, Rimsha Warda. My website is rimshawarda.com. It's on Instagram and all the places, just my name. There's not a lot of Rimshas in this world, turns out. And my podcast is called It Is That Deep, Motherfucker. It was inspired by my 8-year-old self, who was like, the world around me would always say, like, Rim, it's not that deep, it's not that deep. And I'm like, it is that deep. So, I really experience life in its depth. And so this is my space where I invite in other guests as well and just dive into the deepest aspects of things that people don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
People don't want to touch. The way I see my podcast space is as if like you're diving into the ocean, but you're not looking for just the pretty things. You're curious about the dark part of it, where you look at the ocean and you're like, I don't think I could go.
Not supposed to.
The scary part.
Down there, you may find creatures you've never seen before. So this is the space where I play and explore my own thoughts and my own experiences, and yeah, I bring in also people so I can dive deep with them as well. And yes, my signature offering is the Jaguar medicine, through which people can also learn to embody the gifts of the Jaguar and be sexually liberated. And you don't actually have to go through sexual trauma to be part of it, but if it is something that calls you, it is a path of pleasure, it is a path of desire, whether it is in intimacy or calling in wealth or calling in healing for your voice, for your heart, for your womb. So yeah, that's and I'll be opening up hopefully space for men as well soon. When I feel
they definitely seem to be searching you out, so it's an avenue that's there for you now, and that speaks volumes to where we've come as a people. Yes. So I love that.
Yes.
And we are so happy to have had you today. Thank you so much for being a part of Rule 42 and going down this rabbit hole with us.
No, but thank you so much, y'all, for having me. And I really loved like this just 4-way and Harry Styles having this conversation. Harry part of
No, it was very nice talking to you.
It's so much fun, and it's so easy to get caught up when it's just one-on-one, but when you add the dynamic of like a male perspective on situations that we're kind of like, as females, no, we're not going to be on the same page because we have different complete experiences and hormones and things that drive our processes. So it's good to have that male perspective, but it's also so invigorating to see 3 very strong, intelligent women
having a nice conversation.
Yeah. Yes. And putting it out there for the world to hear and learn and be able to access, because like you said, we are those totems of wisdom, and that has not stopped. And our whole purpose is to share and make a better world for those around us, not just ourselves. So thank you so much for being a part of today and helping us make the world a little better. And continue to do what you're doing. You are strength embodied.
Yes,
thank you for that. You are the type of women that I want my girls to look up to, and my boys, because
boys, girls, everyone
that are going after you. So I just think it's so important to have those examples too, and to have avenues to know that there's not just like people that will respect and honor where my girls are, but my boys too. So.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I'll just add one last note is that I just want to celebrate all of you for being incredible parents and supportive of your children, because that is not a small thing whatsoever. It's so easy to fuck these kids up. And
yes.
And we are the new ancestors, right?
Yes.
We are the new ancestors. So we're paving the new pathways, and thank you for showing me what right looks like, because I'm not a mother yet. So thank you for the way you guys are upholding your own leadership in your household, where your kids feel safe to just be themselves.
Thank you
so much.
Bye.
Nice to meet you guys.
You too.
1, 2, 3, 42.
Rule 42 is hosted by Audrey Cruz and Jen Burke. It is produced and edited by Tom Smith. The opening song is Rule 42 by Eddie Carr. Rule 42's artwork was created by Aubrey Cruz. And I'm your announcer, Molly Smith. Thank you for listening to Rule 42. We hope you enjoyed the show. New episodes premiere every Thursday on all podcast platforms. Please subscribe, share the show, and leave us a 5-star review on Apple.